Do you want to know how amazing people connect? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie.
Thanks for connecting. And if you like what you hear, please share.
Special thank you to our sponsors of Marketing with Russ, Farmers Insurance and Michelle Martin's agency, The Aspects of Aging and Christine Smith, The Oaks at Lebanon, and Country Vitamins. For more information on Michelle Martin and Farmers Insurance, call 541-981-2616. And for more information on the Aging Better Network and Christine Smith, go to agingbetternetwork.com. And for more information on the Oaks at Lebanon in Lebanon, Oregon, go to lebanonretirement.com. And finally, for Country Vitamins and all their supplements and vitamin services, go to countryvitamins.com. Music by Connor Hedge and Protestant, used with permission. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. Ready for a great and amazing episode today. It's going to be so good. Man, I am so happy that you are here today. But you know what? I would love it if you would share this out currently with your friends and your community. Let them know that we are going to have a true 9/11 hero on today, and also have a couple of surprise guests coming as well. So super excited about that. You know, it is a day to remember, a very solemn day. And this country has been shook again yesterday through some events. And you know what? It's a time to remember the amazing bravery and resilience of our United States and the amazing citizens like Bobby G. And is just, I tell you, it's just mind blowing. Also, just thankful every day for God and his strength through these times. And so I'm so thankful again that you're here. Again, this is Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. And you know what? We are here to add value to your life. I'm here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, to add value to your life. What do I mean by that? Well, let's see here. First of all, as we're talking, I'm going to make a quick change to something and make sure that I get the right microphone working. That'd be great. Yes, there we go. Okay, we're going to get that working as I'm talking. Anyway, it's on the go. There you go. That should be much better. But anyway, we are all about how amazing people connect here on Marketing with Russ. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it's a show about marketing, right? Well, yes, and also about people. But you know what? Connection and community building, I believe, is the foundation for life, really. We're going to talk about that today, about this 9/11 story, but also it's the foundation for any good marketing plan, any good business. You know, Zig Ziglar said you build the people and then the people build your business. What does that mean? You invest in and you build relationships with people, real authentic relationships, and that will build your business. That will move you forward. And so I'm telling you, today we're going to have a great episode, and we're going to be talking about some things that I think in life we need to think about before we move on to how we're going to make money today. You know what? Because the people are really what matters in this life, and remembering things that have happened are going to help us. So anyway, I'm so excited. So amazing people like Bobby G and a couple surprise guests. Also, I want you to know that I want to connect with you, obviously. Go to russhedge.com, russhedge.com today to connect with me. And, it's pretty simple. I'm a simple-minded guy. So my name is my website. If you can just put a .com on the end of my name, you're good to go. Everything about me, about my inspirational speaking. And by the way, I'll be in New York speaking at the Perspectives on Cancer conference coming up this October the 3rd through the 5th. And I'll be encouraging and inspiring everybody at the conference. And as you all know, I've been going through a cancer journey the last 3 years. And so appreciate the opportunity to share and bless and uplift other people. So I'll be there the 3rd through the 5th. And if you want more information on that, go to perspectivesoncancer.com, by the way. And that would be so great. Also, I want to tell you that our YouTube page is growing and by leaps and bounds. So get on there today, because what do you get? You get all together in one spot, easy to get to, all the amazing guests like Bobby G today that we have on this show. So many amazing people that you can connect with. All their information is there, so you can connect with them even after the show's been long done. And you can watch these and just gain so much value. So go to the YouTube page today. And how do you do that? You go to marketingwithruss.live, marketingwithruss.live. So if you know the name of the show, you can get to my YouTube page. See, keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. There you go. All right. Also, right now, for those of you that are joining us already, please, please, please share this out. Tag a few of your friends right now. Let them know, because you know what? It's Thursday morning. Everybody's trying to get going. We're getting busy, I know, and we need to remind people. And there's a lot of really, really good, blessed 9/11 things going on as well, which I understand. So if you're not able to watch this live and you're watching a replay, which a ton of people do, please comment, say hi, put hashtag team replay, and you can still connect with our guests and with the people in the comments, with the surprise guests we have coming on, the whole thing. So looking forward to that as well. Okay. And a couple more quick things. First of all, behind me, don't forget, befuddled, live the life you choose. If you want to learn to live a life of purpose and a life with a good mindset, a positive perspective, you need to get my first book. And coming out really, really soon is the follow-up to that book. There it is. Life Happens and Then You Choose. Life Happens and Then You Choose. That'll be coming out here in the first part of November. Super excited about that. Also, my anthologies I've written with several other great authors, #1 on Amazon, international bestsellers, are also available. They are all on they're all on Amazon and online booksellers, but believe it or not, you can also get them all at russhedge.com. That's right. It'll take you right to them. So russhedge.com is probably the best place to go. Get started there. So, all right. We need to do our marketing tip of the day before we get going. I always like to tie this into my guests when possible. So we're going to do that here. And this will get cut out, added separately on YouTube Shorts, social media, so you can share this separately. And so here is your little bit of wisdom today. Are you ready? This is your marketing tip of the day. Remember and learn. That's right. Remember and learn. You know what? We're talking about remembering here on 9/11. What did we learn from those events, those horrific events? It could be something spectacular in your life, or it can be something just horrible, but there's always lessons to be learned. In life and business and marketing, when you remember things that worked good and you use those, or you remember things that didn't work so good and you change those, that will go to suit you well in your business, in your life. So remember and learn today, move forward in a new positive way, or build on excellent positive celebrations you've had. Today, that's going to help you move forward, improve your life, improve your business. So remember and learn, and that is your marketing tip of the day. All right, there we go. We're going to get the show started, get Bobby G in here and get rolling. Good morning, Bobby G.
Good morning, Russ. How are you?
I am so good, my friend. So happy. I am sitting here with my pin that I got from Bobby G when I visited him in New York last year, speaking at the Perspectives on Cancer conference. We were in Manhattan last year, and Bobby G took me on his own personal tour of not only the 9/11 museum, but also the surrounding areas, and really gave me some photos and showed me what it looked like then, and I can see what it looks like now. What a blessing. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing pretty good. Of course, today is an emotional day for me and many others that I consider my family, the 9/11 family. And also, I'm deeply saddened with what happened with Charlie Kirk yesterday. I mean, that's a real shame, a real tragedy. 31 years old. He's really just starting to live his life. He was a father and a husband, and he just wanted to spread the good word, And I saw that video of him getting shot, and it's just horrible. You got to live each day. You never know. You really do. You never know.
That is so true. We definitely, that's one positive lesson right there that you are remembering and learning. You got to live every day. You got to realize you're blessed, and you got to realize that we are not promised tomorrow. So let's start at the very beginning. For those that don't know you, Bobby, tell everybody who in the world is Bobby G and what is this whole 9/11 thing all about?
Well, I have the honor of being on the show now with you a couple of times, and I did it last year with you on 9/11 and Scott, Dr. Scott. And it all started for me as being just a regular guy. I was an executive in the coffee business, and on that horrible day, I was showering, and my wife came into the bathroom and said, "You got to see what's going on in the city." And I thought at first it was like some kind of practical joke, And then when I saw that it was on the radio at first, I heard it, and then when I went into the living room to view the TV, I was just blown away, And I just told her, I got to go. She's looking at me like, "What are you, crazy?" And I said, "No, I got to go some way, somehow. I got to get in there and be a part of this." And she knew at that point she couldn't stop me. And she assured me my kids were safe. They were very young at the time in school. And I just loaded myself up with supplies, dressed myself up with heavy duty gear. I had an SUV at the time. I went to a lot of the local supermarkets and I said, "Hey, I'm going in. What do you got?" And they loaded my car up with many, many supplies, like mostly water. And it was ironic because a week before that, I was a guest at the U.S. Open in a suite there, actually right underneath Donald Trump's. And they kept giving us these disposable cameras to use. And I had a lot extra, and I had them in my car. And if I would have taken any other route into Manhattan, I would not be speaking to you right now. But I wound up going on the Long Island Expressway. And as I got on, it was total chaos. It was bumper to bumper traffic. And I looked down to my left, and I noticed that these two gentlemen were in this tiny little car, and they looked like doctors. So I notioned to them, I says, "Hey, you guys trying to get in?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Why don't you come with me? You'll never make it with that car." Thinking now I got doctors and supplies in my car. And I ran up to a unmarked cop car that was about 3 cars ahead of me because the traffic wasn't even moving. And I told him I got doctors and supplies. He gave me the bubble off the red light off his cards and put this on yours and follow me. We went down an embankment, and the cop told this guy at this private community to open the gate and let the doctors leave their car there. With that, other cars came, and it turned out to be a caravan of firemen, cops, so on and so forth. And at that point they already had put these concrete dividers at the entrances of the expressway, so you couldn't get on. We went around them, and as we approached what's called the Midtown Tunnel, there was actually military personnel there with the M16s ready to blow somebody's car off the road. And we were following an emergency police truck in, so they let us go. And as I got out of the tunnel and made a left, I drove a little bit down Broadway. That's when the second tower fell. And that wall of ash came down the street like you have no idea. And I just told the guys, the doctors in my car to, just hit the ground. And they bent down. I threw the car into park, and this stuff was hitting my car. We thought we were in like some kind of a nuclear fallout. And when it finally cleared, I dropped them off down by the City Hall building. There was a make-ready medical facility there, and told them all the best. And with that, I grabbed these gallons of water that I had in my car, and I kept running around giving it to the first responders down there and whoever needed it to wash off their face. I stuffed a lot of the cameras in my pocket and then continued to run down the street. And as I turned down one of the blocks to go toward Liberty Plaza, I noticed this big, gigantic, bald cop, big muscle guy. And I said, what can I do to help? And he said, if you're not prepared to die, you better get the F out of here. With that, I says, let's rock and roll. And I jumped on the pile, and I went to help assist this fireman. And I was holding one of these metal water extinguishers, like a fire extinguisher, and I was spraying all around him, and all you heard was the beeping coming from the fallen fireman. And as we were in there, everybody was gone. Everything was perished. And then,
hey, let me jump in. I want to jump in right there. I just want to say that, this is an amazing thing that you're willing to, number one, just go into where all this danger is and things that are happening. But you know what? It shows your heart, Bobby G. And I've seen that firsthand. And I appreciate that so much. So, after you went through all of this, you got there, just continue on and tell us a little bit about more what you saw.
Well, like I said, it was just piles. It was like piles of silverware, and you're running through this very carefully, this fallen building that just broke apart. And we were in this pit, and all of a sudden somebody yelled, "Get out, another plane's coming." And it turned out to be building number 7 was collapsing. And when metal, I found out later, when metal is hot and it's turning, it screams. It like makes a weird noise. But we had to get out of there fast. We didn't know what was going on. And we wound up going into the lobby of One Liberty Plaza, where they had a make-ready medical facility. And they made us go under oxygen, and they made us drink Gatorade, and they checked our vitals. And then we went back out and kept doing what we were doing all day long. No rest, nothing. Everybody was a part of this. Everybody became a family. We watched out for each other. There was bonds being built so fast between people because you were depending on that person to tell you if something was going to happen. And from wearing masks to the sanitation department, cleaning up stuff so fast because the smells were starting to get horrendous, to the nurses and the doctors and the police and everybody had a role. Everybody just took on their own responsibility, and we just did what we had to do. And on the night of day 3, I was down there, and it was late at night, and this guy came running up to us. I was at the Burger King on the corner, which I showed you, Russ. And he said, "I just found this," and it was like a policeman's hat with all this blue waxy stuff all over it. And he said, "I just came from the 5th floor parking lot under the building number 5. And he says, there's a lot of cars there still intact." So I just right away said, "I'm in, let's go." And the 4 of us strapped flashlights to our helmets that were given to us. And as we were going down the stairs, thinking, this may be my last thing I'm ever going to do, as we went down the stairs into what they called the mall area, we saw flashlights coming out of the Torno jewelry store. And when we went into the store, we see this guy come out with his flashlight, and he goes, "Hey, what's happening?" And the guy I was with, I didn't even know who he was at first. He says, "My name is Deputy Tebow Caracas, and I'm with the New York City Police Department, and you're under arrest for robbing the store." With that, another guy came out of the back, and we grabbed him, and we were bringing him up the escalator. And that's when he said to some other cop, I think it was a captain, "Captain, I'm Deputy Tebow Caracas. I want these 2 gentlemen placed under arrest for robbing." And as we were going back down the stairs to see what we could find, we found you got to remember, there's a lot of ash. It was like 6 inches of ash on every step. And you'd see these little round circles in the ash. And when we put our fingers in there, we were pulling out the Rolexes that they were throwing out of their pockets. Okay. And we wound up getting pretty much down to the mall area. It was total devastation, glass shattered all over. And we found a stairwell. And we made our way all the way down to the parking lot. And when we got down to the bottom of the parking lot, no lights, zero visibility. My first response was, let's go to the cars and turn on their headlights. With that, when I went up to each car, the windows were already busted open and the lights were on, and there must have been people down there that either got out or passed away. So by the time I got to the last car, I was able to break the windows open and turn the light on, and behind us was a Port Authority supply truck. It looked almost like a horse trailer. And the deputy commissioner said, "We got to get this door open." And when we broke the door open, it was filled with rubber boots and oxygen tanks. So at that time, I was a pretty big guy, and he said to me, "You're the biggest guy here. You got to wear this, and in case we found somebody that needed oxygen." And with that, we walking through different areas underneath the towers, and we came across this one section that had a collapsed ceiling, and the ceiling was about 3 to 4 feet thick. And I said, "I'll go under," and I climbed underneath this thing. It was like on an angle, like something like this. And as I crawled under it, they were holding me by my ankles, and I had to write my name and social security number on my body parts in case I was killed. And when I got through the other side, I was just barely able to get my body through the other side of the hole, and everything in there was gone. So they pulled me out, and then
Bobby G, I'm going to break in right there because it's like almost impossible for us to understand the amount of devastation. But I want to give another view. I want to bring in my friend Stephen Kaplan, who is actually photographing this from another vantage point. Good morning, Stephen. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning, Russ. Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, Stephen.
So, Stephen, give us just a little insight of who you are and what you were up to that morning.
Sure. Well, like Bobby said, this morning is a difficult morning for everybody, no matter where you are, no matter when you found out about this, et cetera, et cetera. But me in particular, I'm a born and bred New Yorker, although I live out of New York now in upper northern New Jersey. And I come from, my mom's a retired police officer. She was one of the first New York City police officers, women police officers, to patrol with the men with a gun in 1973. And she evacuated the first World Trade Center bombing, actually, when she was a police officer downtown. But me personally, I'm a photographer and a photo editor in the previous life. I was a photo editor at the New York Times for 20 years, and I've been a freelance photographer most of my life. More to the point, I documented the NYPD during the entire 1990s. I did a decade's worth of work with the 6th Precinct, ESU Truck 1, and many other units. And I was one of the go-to guys for NYPD and some FDNY stuff, but mainly NYPD stuff. On the morning of 9/11, it was really wild because I lived in the West Village for a good 10 years before 9/11, being a Greenwich Villager most of my life. And that morning when everything happened, I had moved probably about 4 months, 5 months maximum earlier to Jersey City, literally right across the street, across the river from Horatio Street on West Street. And I was living in a tower facing the Hudson River. And I heard my mother had actually called me, and she woke me up. And I didn't realize what was going on. I looked outside and I saw that a plane had struck the first tower. As I ran downstairs onto the river walkway there on Newport in Jersey City, I was running downstairs, and all of a sudden, as I was downstairs, the second plane hit. So that vantage point was absolutely insane. You thought the world was coming to an end with what was what was happening. So I ran down, as I was downstairs, being a news photographer, started shooting immediately. But one of the things I tried to do was I tried to get on the PATH train. Now, of course, the PATH train was shut down very quickly and everything, but I had probably missed the last PATH train by just a matter of minutes, because who knew that both the towers would come down?
Hey, Stefan, in the sake of time, what I'm going to do is have you skip forward just a little bit, because we only have a couple more minutes here. Go ahead and tell us then how you got down and then what you saw when you actually were taking the pictures.
Sure. So I photographed everything from the Jersey side. I did not get down to downtown that day, because my job that day would have been to have gotten to work and contributed as an editor. That was my job. But the real wildest thing that I can say about that day was that, everything happens for a reason in life. Yes. We know that, right? And I would have ended up down there with the troops, because I worked with them day in and day out, night and day with these guys, photographing them on my own time. And if I
Right.
hadn't moved to Jersey City, I know I would have been in the path of those buildings coming down, or who knows what. So I really believe that, powers that be above, God
Yep.
Almighty, and everything else had
Yeah.
their plan for me, and that was to get out of there. So, that was my story. How I ended up in
Right.
Manhattan that day, just quickly, was I ended up taking a raft to work across the Hudson River to get to work.
Right. Well, God definitely had his hand on you, and timing for you not being right under those buildings is amazing. I have my good friend and co-host D. Scott Smith that's dropping in. Scott and I have the perspective from watching it from across the country. Scott, how are you doing?
Hey, good morning. And I just want to say, Stefan, first, thank you for capturing images all along your career of those people who are first responders and put their lives on the line daily. And Bobby G, my gosh, I know I've heard your story, never ceases to amaze me. And I was sharing with people about the American flag lapel pin that George W. Bush, President Bush, gave you. And it's just an acknowledgement for the risk and sacrifice that you did when you chose, because you chose to go in there. The thing that I would say is that it's been 24 years. Next year is 25 years, which is just an unbelievable length of time. And every time we go to the airport, we still live with the consequences of the actions of a few people. And obviously, yesterday was another tragedy. And so, my question to you, Bobby and Stefan, is how do we tangibly make changes in the areas of influence that we have to remember the work that goes on daily?
Well, if I can go ahead and be first, it'd be fine. It's amazing when I wake up every 9/11. It just blows my mind how many messages I have on my phone, and it's people that I've met in my life, maybe once, or friends that I haven't heard from, and I always get these "thinking of you today, God bless you and your family" from pretty much all over the country. People do that, and to me, that's the greatest gift in the world. Hearing from people and seeing on Facebook posts like my friend June Presto, who posted about her son being a cop down there. And, her dad loved me for what I did, and he's now no longer. But I try to live each day as I can. I'm not perfect. I make my mistakes, but I try to learn from them. I would never want to be in a situation where that poor family is from yesterday. I'm now a grandpa with a beautiful grandson, and that makes me sparkle every day. And all I could tell people is, I just posted something before, and I said, try to be kind to each other. Try to, think about the fact that everybody's in a different situation. You don't know where they are. So, stop being these Karens and rude to each other, and try to take life and enjoy it, appreciate it. It's like that old expression, wake up and smell the roses, because, one day you're not going to be able to, and as you get older, you realize this. And when, like Russ went through this cancer tragedy, you realize how precious life is. And when you see people and you try to turn the scenarios around and make a negative into a positive, that makes my whole day, and I try to be like this. And I always tell people, if you don't like who I am, I'm sorry. I like to make people laugh, because I've seen more horrible things in my lifetime with that situation. And, it's just, it's just how I feel, be kind to each other. That's all you
Right.
can do.
Yeah. Bobby G, I tell you, you are such a kind, blessing, giving person. And again, I have that on firsthand authority, being that you were so kind to me when I came into town last year. So great to meet you in person, give you a big hug, and just be able to spend time with you. And what an honor. What an honor. And I count you as a wonderful friend, and looking forward to being able to be back there and do it again this year. Unfortunately, my trip is a little bit north of New York, so I'm not going to make it into Manhattan, but
Okay.
yeah, but next time.
Yep.
But yeah, it is just such a blessing. Stefan, I want to give you one more moment here. We're running out of time, but I
I just
wanted
want to
you to, yeah, I wanted to give you last comments. Go ahead.
No, I'll just respond, Scott. First of all, you never have to thank me for doing what I did, but I appreciate it because it's part of what I do. But it's working with the troops down there for 10 years in the NYPD, documenting all their work on the life of cops. We have to remember one thing: these guys ran into buildings that no one else would have run into. Nobody. When everybody was running out, as I always say, they were running in. And the firefighters included 343 firefighters, and I believe it was 26 or 27, Bobby, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Including PAPD officers who were naturally a part of the whole World Trade Center, real estate, the whole area down there. But be kind to each other. One thing I'll remember about 9/11, and I used to always run. I lived in the village. I lived right near the village, and of course, being a Greenwich villager, I always was in there. And every time a body was brought up 6th Avenue, which is the route they took, going up to the morgue and then cutting over to the east side to where the morgue was, I have to tell you, there wasn't a single New Yorker that was not standing there when those trucks would go by with bodies that they had recovered and stood there and paid their respects to everybody going by. So many innocent lives. That day is just something that will always stay in my soul. And I, like everybody else, wish we could turn back the hands of time.
I'd like to add one quick thing. If I was able to speak to the entire world, respect the people that wear the badge, whether it's the firemen, the policemen, or the military. They're not there to give you a hard time. They're there when you have a problem. Who's the first person you call? It's the police department or the fire department. It's time we don't mock them. We respect them. We go back to the way it used to be. And that's. I went to a cemetery today and showed Russ a video. It's a cemetery by my house that it's a triangle, and it has maybe 150 tombstones in it, and most of them are empty. And these are all firemen that they never found. And there was fire women in there and police officers, and they may have buried a shoe, but there was an honor guard there today, still trying to do the right thing. So be kind to people, respect the law and order, and stop all this crazy stuff with what's going on in this world. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and that's when I'm so glad that God's in control. But you know what? I can't tell you guys. I agree with you 100%, Bobby G, what you just said. The world needs a little more kindness, a little bit more empathy and understanding for each other. And, this event on a day like today makes us remember that when this happened, our country went back to prayer and focusing and caring for each other for a time. I think it really focused us on our communities and on the importance of life and everything that we have. And I think sometimes we get too busy and we move on from that. And Scott, I'm going to give you a last chance to say a word and ask any more questions. We got about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, it's just an honor to share the screen, Bobby and Stefan, with the two of you here. And I know that you're humble, and I appreciate that. And what you did should be an inspiration to all of us to be willing to hold the door open for somebody, to take a moment. We can be heroes to a person in a moment. And but I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
and I think Russ, I think you used the key word there, empathy. Compassion, understanding, empathy for others and everything they're going through. We don't know what other people are going through, so understand that word well.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. We don't know what people are going through. That's exactly it. Mm-hmm. And, I think that even when we do know what people are going through, sometimes we're so caught up in our own world that we are not really looking at the needs to our community and those around us. But today is a reminder. I did my marketing tip of the day on remember and learn. Today's a reminder to remember and to learn from what the good things were out of this. I believe God works all things for the good. And there were so many good things of coming together, learning to support each other, really taking a moment of courage like you, Bobby G, where you threw yourself into danger because the importance of the people and the situation were greater than your own needs. And that is such a blessing. So, Bobby G, I'm going to give you a second to wrap things up here and tell us really what you want people to remember from our discussion today. I called it our gold nugget of the day. And then remind everybody how to get in touch with you.
Well, my email is bobbygcoffee@gmail.com. If anybody ever would like to see my pictures, please, send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to share some of my experience with you. And when I was on one of your shows one other time, I said, you know what? It's nice to be nice to people. If you're in a store and you see an elderly person buying a cup of coffee, buy it for them. You won't believe the satisfaction you get out of helping someone else. Extend a hand to somebody that's fallen. I like I said, I'm not perfect, but I try to be. I try to do as much as I can. I just became a 4th degree knight with the Knights of Columbus, and I got knighted in St. Patrick's Cathedral. So now, Russ, you have to call me Sir Bobby G. You know what? It's an honor to, take place and send you an email. Russ thinking about you and praying, and you get one back from me, and I send stuff to Scott, and that's what it's about. It's it's not living a fake life. It's living a life that you really will feel good about if you just take
Russ,
2 seconds.
Russ, can I just say one quick thing? One more quick.
Jump in. Go ahead. Yep.
When Bobby said something, and also Scott, remember that day, the week after, this went on for a long time, that these men and women and dogs and canine units and everybody, paramedics that were working on that pile, and what they carried with them afterwards, all those experiences and selflessness that they put into it, while all that smoldering rubble was there, killing many of them, which we now know, including James Zadroga, who I just had to throw his name in there, who was a friend of mine. I knew him. I photographed him. These men and women and everybody else put their lives on the line for days and months and few years after that, just cleaning up that whole devastation.
Yeah.
And I went down to Washington, D.C. with John Stewart and John Field from the Feel Good Foundation and helped get these Zadroga bill passed, which was what an honor that was too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people to this day are still getting sick. I just talked to a guy the other day
it's not over.
No,
it's not. So thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I had to throw that in.
No, that's fine. And I just want to remember from those days too, Bobby G, you've shown me pictures and talked to me. You have pictures with the president, with pictures with the senators and the mayor and everybody in New York. The reason is because they were coming together and recognizing that when we come together, no matter what level we're at, right? We think all these politicians are at this level up here and we're way down here. We're all people. We're all people when we come together. And we had, the president had a call for prayer. Just like yesterday, they were making a call for prayer. Time to come together, pray for each other, really care and support one another. And I think that is one of the biggest lessons that came out of this and that we'll continue to remember every year. And I can tell you, I am so thankful for all of you being here today. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys on the screen here. But hang tight to the green room because I want to talk to all of you. But Bobby G, I'm going to leave you on for one more minute. Scott and Stefan, thanks for being here. Hang tight for just a second. Bobby G, make your last comments for today. You've made so many pearls of wisdom, but I just love listening to you. Give us 2 more minutes of what people really need to think about in life because of situations like this. Go ahead.
Well, number one, if you have an argument with somebody, especially a family member, learn how to forgive. I did it recently with something that I dealt with years ago. And while I was sitting in church, I just said, you know what? I looked at my wife and I said, I forgive. And I said his name. And it made me feel so much better inside. I got rid of that kangaroo I was carrying on my back. It's just a hard life for everybody. I mean, things are getting more expensive. People are having harder times. I just pray to God that people can just respect each other, whether you're white, black, Chinese, Indian, Pakistani. I don't care. We're all the same. We all bleed the same. We all want the same things in life for the best of our family and our children. And, Russ, I've learned so much from just watching you. I've been on a few times, but I also watch it all the time. I make little comments. You bring on great people, and I love being on here. And hopefully you'll have me back on next year for the 25th anniversary. It's an honor to be on this show. It's an honor to tell people my story. I mean, it goes on and on and on, but the best is that, I'm still here able to be talking about it. And I know a lot of people that aren't. And yeah, I got sick. I had cancer on my face, and I got COPD and restricted airways disease and yada, yada, yada. But you know what? I still have my beautiful wife for 46 years. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I have a wonderful grandson. I have great son-in-laws. And that's what I try to do. You always try to find the good in people. You're always going to find that one person that is just never going to be able to be pleased no matter what you do. Then you just move on. Because if you take on that negativity, you become negative. And you get it all wound up inside. So I wish everybody the best life. God bless. It's a very humble day for me today. And I love everybody, and especially Russ and Scott.
Well, I want to tell you that one of the biggest, wonderful, good things that came out of all of this was I got to personally meet you. I got to befriend you, and looking forward to when we're going to see each other again.
Yes.
I have hope for this world because of people like you, Bobby G.
Thank you.
And
you.
I truly mean that. So thank you for being a blessing to me. And so with that, I'm going to say goodbye, Bobby. I'm going to keep you on the screen as we say goodbye to everybody. But I just want to thank everybody for joining in today. Just remind you that we're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And don't forget, you can still connect with me and Bobby G. You can still subscribe to YouTube. Even after this show's over, you can still share this out and tag your friends. Even if you're watching on replay, why not share this value with somebody? It's going to sit on LinkedIn and YouTube forever and Facebook for 30 days. So do that. And if you can't watch it, go to, you can either watch on Apple Podcasts or Spotify on Marketing with Russ here. You can listen, audio podcast. That will be out here in a few days. So you listen on audio podcast if you don't have time to watch. And what a blessing you all are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community. And today we're just going to call it with that. We will see you next Monday. Have a blessed and amazing weekend, everybody. And remember today and learn. All right. Talk to you, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an amazing day.